Iranians experienced a near total internet blackout Wednesday as mass protests spread to dozens of towns. Demonstrations erupted after a 22-year-old woman died Friday while being held by the country's so-called morality police. Her crime, violating the country's strictly enforced dress code. Since then, human rights groups report at least 8 people have died in the unrest. As the protests continued, Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi addressed the UN General Assembly in New York Wednesday, but President Biden also spoke. He voiced support for the protesters, saying they are fighting to secure their basic rights. For more on this, let's bring in Hadi Ghaemi. He is the executive director of the Center for Human Rights in Iran. It's a New York-based advocacy group. Hadi, what exactly are the protesters calling for here? Is it the abolition of the morality police or the end to the Islamic Republic in its totality?
Well, it appears to be all of the above. And this protest shouldn't be looked at as an isolated incident, but as an evolution of a protest movement over the last 5 years that has grown bigger and bigger each time. And this time it really looks like the entire country is inflamed, outraged, and demanding change. What they're really calling for is that they're really tired of the status quo and the fact that the ruling elite have none of their concerns or grievances in mind, and they're just running their own show as if Iran has no people whatsoever. So people are on the street, especially women, to say we exist and we have basic rights and we want to reclaim them.
How do you put in context, a lot of people may remember the Green Revolution of 2009, those protests. Remind us the size of those protests and put these current outbreaks in that context.
Yeah, they definitely are related. And in 2009, the grievance was very specific when it looked like there is still some kind of political plurality in Iran. And they were questioning the outcome of election and saying the elections were stolen and wanted to have a recount and installment of what the majority of people thought should be the president. That was at a time when we had something called the reformist faction in Iran. And the candidate that was being supported by the people was a candidate that represented the reformist faction of the Islamic Republic. In the ensuing decade or more, we have seen politics in Iran completely disappear. A very, very small clique of hardliners who have huge economic benefits and advantages want to keep the status quo at any cost. And people have been protesting since 2016. And each time they've been killed, repressed, put in jail. But each time we see it, it keeps coming back out due to some kind of event. And this time it was the killing of a young woman by the morality police. And young Iranian women are on the forefront of it.
As you mentioned, crackdowns in the past have squashed protests, and the Iranian President Raisi seems like a pretty tough guy. Leslie Stahl asked him on 60 Minutes when she interviewed him if he regretted taking part in a commission that was responsible for executing up to 5,000 political dissidents. And let's listen to his answer.
They were assassinating people, and what happened to them was exactly proportionate to what they did.
So what does that answer suggest to you about his response to this unrest?
Well, I'm very sorry, but I'm very well versed in what he did in 1980s. He has committed crimes against humanity. He is a perpetrator of crimes against humanity. And he's not a tough guy. He's just an unchallenged guy who hasn't really been in any forum where he has been challenged. And he is talking about 5,000 or more political prisoners who were already in jail, who were already prosecuted and given different kind of prison sentences. Many of them even had finished their sentence and were due to be released. And he and a group of hardline clerics went on a rampage, killing them, executing them extrajudicially. So his excuse is not at all what happened, and history will judge him.
All right, Hadi Ghaemi, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for that.